Well, it's April 10th, 2020, and it's not raining. It was raining last night, but as you can see, water is gushing out of this crushed wellhead here and would be flooding our property if not for our retaining wall that we had to put up to protect our property from this erosion flood, mud flood that for some reason the Metro Stormwater Department will not correct. We know there's two wells on this property, and the locals have told the building owners here, told Metro Stormwater Department, Kim Hayes, and a fellow from the Stormwater Department that's over this, one of the supervisors, as well as Linda Kelly. They were all out here and were told by Joe Willis and others that live across the street that there are two wellheads here. And for some reason, they just won't stop the flow of this water from damaging our property. But I want to show you the folly of their solution being to put a ditch and a culvert down across the front of our property, even though this property doesn't have a ditch at all or a culvert. And look at this water pooling here and running. And I want to show you, this is a perfect example why that won't work. They want the ditch to come out to where this yellow line is and dig that up and put a culvert in there and run it down to that ditch on the far side. However, that does nothing to solve the real problem of the drainage that comes out after it rains hard right down this way. You see, this water wouldn't go into that culvert. It would just continue to flood our property. So now we have a solution where the water that comes out of that culvert and from uphill actually goes with the flow of this water that comes from this direction, from the crushed wellhead, and we've got it to coming around the berm. You see, it's a good 8-10 feet from where that ditch would be dug. It would not reach there. This solution works far better, according to our own engineers. You can see the water running steadily into this ditch on the far side. Now, normally that ditch flows better, but they've come and put fill this ditch in with the fiber optic cable that was just installed. So they've actually filled this in, but eventually the water will running down this ditch as it's supposed to, down the sides of the road on this side, as it is on the other side of the road. That's the way water flows from uphill on Neely's Bend Road. It should be flowing down a ditch on the side. Now, if you look at this from this angle, you can see clearly how our berm clearly works to convey water across the front of our property off of our driveway where we can actually work without sticking up in the mud. That's muddy water coming out of there. That's soil erosion from the topsoil. Has been from day one, and we had 4 to 6 inches of mud floods every time it rained. And that's why we had to do this solution designed by our architect and by our engineer. So, civil engineer. So you can see a ditch along this yellow line here, which is what they want us to do, would not serve the purpose of conveyance of water that's coming down our retaining wall from that open, whatever it is up there, crushed wellhead or whatever it is. That's the problem, is that the two streams converge together here, and when they do, our berm is able to carry the volume of water right down here across to the ditch on the other side. Digging all this pavement up, disrupting the water flow, the water meter there that comes from across the road. There's the blue line. where the water line goes in to the water meter. All that would have to be broken and patched, and would have to have expensive steel grating across here. This is nothing but trying to punish Lehman Lessons Church and discriminating against us, making us do things that this property owner doesn't have to do. I don't think it could be conveyed any better than this sunshiny day where the water is still gushing and flowing. It's not coming down from here, as you can see, but it's certainly coming right from here, right uphill from that crushed wellhead. I don't know how it's made any clearer that this solution works and it should be acceptable, and yet it's just another way of delaying us from doing anything on our property here and keeping us from building a second tithe barn there where the tent is. We put in a building permit for that and been denied and delayed almost 2 years now from using our property the way a church needs to use its property for tithe barn purposes, to store food and drinks that we receive from all over the country and distribute only to the poor and the needy right here in Middle Tennessee.